Fox 11's Susan Hirasuna, who's reporting for us tonight from the Pacific Palisades area. She's been at the Carbon Beach area, which used to have a whole lot of homes, and unfortunately tonight does not. Susan.
Oh my goodness, Alex, that's a way to say it. Yeah, part of the Palisades Fire, but we're actually in the city of Malibu. In fact, this area, the Carbon Beach area, was, I believe, the most recent to get an evacuation order, but our sense was that people had already seen the danger and had decided to get out. But meantime, this part here, we're still seeing a lot of fire activity. You see across the street how this house here with the octopus on it, I mean, at first we thought it was stable. We would see some flare-ups, but they would pour some water on it, and it's just unbelievable. Despite the fact that they've got the fire truck right here, just dousing the fire, you still see so many flames. And right next door, a crumpled house, a house that has just burned to the ground. You still got a firefighter working on putting water onto any kind of hot spot. Now, this, I believe, is the northern edge of the Palisades Fire. When you go further south, farther south, you get to the fire station, and it's really not that far away. I just drove down there, and because I wanted to see something that I had noticed before, and sure enough, right across from the fire station, there are homes that burned. Earlier today, we had seen some fire activity and fire trucks there, and so they were still dealing with it. And when I just went down there, no more fire trucks in front of the houses that are still standing, but there was indeed one that is burning. I watched as a fire truck went right on by, because that's not his assignment, his or her assignment, so they kept on going to the south. The other thing I wanted to tell you is, of course, there are a lot of celebrities that live in this area. They're hurting just like the regular people are hurting in losing their homes. This was supposed to be a big day for actors because of the SAG-AFTRA nominations, right? And I do know, I told you about my friend who has a place just south of Dukes. He has a celebrity neighbor, Benny Blanco, and so that means that Benny Blanco lost his house, his little beach cottage, right along the Pacific Ocean. It's been quite a day of seeing the way this fire has cherry-picked the areas on Pacific Coast Highway, and then at the same time been so devastating. So yes, we still see some building, and you can't see it from this perspective, but I see a building that looks like it's completely untouched. It's those swaths, though, across from the mountain on the ocean side that are just burned absolutely to nothing. That was so impressive to me, because you're so used to seeing all those homes on Pacific Coast highways and the highway, and they are so close together, Alex and Marla, they are built like right next to each other. Maybe there's a pathway to the ocean, but there's so little real estate between these houses, and to see that instead of buildings, it's just this wide blank spot, and it's you got to go way, way back to remember that time when you could see straight to the ocean.
And Susan, some places when fires happen, you wonder if they're going to rebuild. We know they're going to rebuild there. It's some of the most valuable real estate in the world. And you wonder, going forward, will they be rebuilt differently? Are there any lessons learned in terms of the way that the homes are built? Maybe is there more room between the homes? Are there things that the city and builders can study in all of this to potentially protect them more?
Alex, somebody told me a story recently about the Lahaina fire, about how someone that they knew had just built a home in Lahaina, Maui, and then Lahaina burned. That house withstood the fire. Why? Because it had a lot of the modern technology to keep a house safe. Yeah. However, what is really sad is the house might still be standing, but everything around it, everything that made that area beautiful, was gone. And the other people that could not, did not have a house still standing. So it loses its beauty and charm, even if your house is still standing. It'll be forever changed. You know, I mean, imagine, like, I did talk to a woman who said, my husband saved our house. The house next to ours burned. The house next to our house on this side also burned. But it's not going to be fun to go back to your home when there's so much devastation all around you.
Right.
So it's just tragic for
especially when you think
everyone,
of the beach, which is a place people go to for sort of a tranquil escape, and then when you look all around you is destruction. Susan, great reporting there, and we're so sorry for all the people who have lost their homes. One of the areas hit the hardest is right where you are standing right now. Chelsea Edwards is in another area that's hit really hard. She actually is in Pacific Palisades and seeing just terrible scenes. Chelsea.
Yeah, incredible amount of devastation. I mean, if you've been watching throughout the evening, watching our coverage, we've watched the church across the street just burn bit by bit, beam by beam. Now we're across the street at Palisades Charter Elementary School, and I just want to show you the destruction that we're seeing here. It looks, I mean, you can't even recognize that this was a school. We can see the outlines and the shells of what appear to be school chairs, tiny ones. You know, this is an elementary school, of course. Small little tables, and then what we appear to be just like the roof tiles that have just collapsed on top of everything. You think about the memories that have been generated here over the years. This elementary school has served thousands and thousands and thousands of students throughout the years. And to see this, it sparks kind of an emotional reaction, I think, at least in me. You think of your elementary school and how all the memories that you have there, all the experiences and the growth that you've had there. And for so many people looking at this is just, it's just utter destruction. It is devastating. The administration building, which is right next to this, happens to be standing. That's what we saw when we first got here. And that is still standing. The facade is there. The inside is intact. But there is just absolutely nothing left of this elementary school itself. And again, this is right across the street from the church. This is the United Community Methodist Church, or Community United Methodist Church, excuse me, that we've just been watching slowly become engulfed and just fall apart brick by brick. And really just incredible destruction everywhere you look here in the Pacific Palisades. Right across the street from us, when we first got here, it was so dark we weren't able to really see. We could see some buildings were still standing. If we look to the area, the one area that we didn't walk around when we first got here, everything on that block is obliterated. There is absolutely nothing left. Those were storefronts that are right across from this school. So this fire kind of did this zigzag pattern, it appears, on this street, on Via de la Paz. We were here last night. I think our Christy Fajardo was here last night showing the destruction live as these buildings just ignited and exploded into flames, and they just continue throughout the day. I mean, utter devastation. Now this, of course, one of the reasons that LAUSD is closing all campuses tomorrow. We spoke with a school board member who got into that and said, you know, the bar is very high for closing schools. It's the last thing that they want to do. They will still be offering meal service, but, you know, it's just not safe in terms of the air quality. And then, of course, the destruction, the damage that we're seeing behind us here and at the other elementary school here in the Pacific Palisades, Marquez, and also at Pali Charter High. A little bit of good news there that we learned tonight. It wasn't as bad as we initially thought. It sounds like 70% of the high school is still standing, which is, of course, excellent news. But the destruction to everything else is just incredible. So no school tomorrow for LAUSD students, for all LAUSD students. They'll reevaluate and see, take another look, and then we'll have an announcement, I believe, at 4 o'clock tomorrow to see what the plan is going to be for the next day. But just incredible. Everywhere you look here in the Pacific Palisades, it's just destroyed. It's remarkable, Alex.
It is horrible, Chelsea. But, you know, as we look at that fire, we have a shot from Skyfox of the fire burning as well. At this point, is it essentially burning in more remote areas and not seeing this sort of destruction of property? Are we kind of just looking at what has already burned, not really what is burning?
It's, you know, it's hard to tell. So from our vantage point, we can actually see spot fires up in the hillsides around here, but it's hard to tell how far away we are and what those are, whether those include structures or whether that's just vegetation up in the hillsides. We're very far away, but it is pitch black, which gives you that vantage point of being able to see where those fires are. Our impression was that when we were driving along Sunset Boulevard to get to this location and driving throughout the Pacific Palisades, that really the bulk of this fire, or at least the fire in this community of the Pacific Palisades, Palisades, what is burned has already burned, and it doesn't appear that there's a whole lot more that is igniting. However, I mean, those winds that we saw earlier, which have since died down, by the way, but the winds that we saw a couple of hours ago, those were carrying embers far. I mean, those were very powerful winds. So there's, of course, the chance that, you know, one of those embers from the church or from any number of the buildings that are burning in this area could have carried to another one and started a new fire. We don't have those reports of that yet. There's very limited communication out here. But you know, it does seem like the bulk of the fire that has moved through and destroyed these communities here in the Pacific Palisades has done the damage that it's going to do. I'm
struck by how little wind we see around you. I've been looking at your hair as sort of a marking point to get a sense of the wind. And it seems like for the first time since we've started the coverage with you, you know, which of course started yesterday, or I don't even know what day it is. This is like one of the first times where we've seen where it's basically still.
Yeah, no, and I think that's absolutely accurate, Alex. Every place that we've been, you know, we've also been all over, mostly this fire, you know, PCH, Malibu, we were in last night. We've been in different parts of Sunset Boulevard throughout yesterday, last night, and today. And yeah, the wind has been extraordinary. Every single location that we've been to at every single point of the day. This is the first time, I think, that we're not experiencing any wind. I would call this extremely still. In fact, look at the smoke rising just upward. We haven't seen that yet. Normally the smoke and the embers have been flying, you know, in one direction or another. This is just kind of peacefully rising upward. So that's certainly good news. Hopefully this will stay the case. We'll see a lot more of this. But yeah, this is the first we've seen so far of smoke just kind of billowing upwards as opposed to violently in one direction or another.
Yeah, which is remarkable because we started our coverage on Tuesday at 10:30 in the morning, and it is now Thursday at 12:20 in the morning, and it's the first time that we have seen that since. Chelsea, thank you for the excellent reporting. You and I believe you're with Elliot Mendoza again, the fantastic photographer who's been your teammate for all this coverage. Thank you to Elliot as well.